as expected, we are in fact getting a brand new race and class all combined into one with WoW Dragonflight. In fact, this is the first time ever Blizzard is releasing a race that can only be one class and a class that can only be one race, and this is in fact a Dracthyr evoker. Even more interestingly, we will be playing as minions of Deathwing, like Deathwing himself, an ancient experiment left to the winds of time on the Dragon Isles. So who are the Dracthyr, the evokers? Stay tuned into the video while I cover all the relevant information that we have. Are you looking for cheap software like Windows 11 for the best price on the market? Well, Royal City Keys is your best option. Other than software, you can find a bunch of games at amazing prices, and if you use my code DORON, you will get an additional 10% off. So if you want to support the channel and get something for yourself, check out my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. Turns out the leaks were fake and we are not getting 4 new classes with one spec. I'd say the leak was partially right because Blizzard really is experimenting with something completely new and kinda unique. For the first time ever, we are getting a race that can only be one class, the Evoker, and we are also getting a class that can only be one race, which is the Dracthyr. Despite the trouble spelling the name Dracthyr itself, this is in fact a really interesting new addition to the game. It is in fact a completely new concept, something they just came up with, which I gotta say is a bit surprising. Previously, I expected them and I speculated that they will add the Draconids, the ones that you have been familiar with for ages in World of Warcraft. They have a long history, but instead they decided to create a completely new race related to them in many ways. So who exactly are these Dracthyr and why are we able to play with them? This, in my opinion, is the most interesting part. The Dracthyr are actually an experiment of Neltharion the Earthwarder, an ancient experiment on the Dragon Isles continent. Now, if you follow the lore, you may have been familiar with the concept of the chromatic Dragonflight, and you have no doubt seen them in the game up to this point. The chromatic Dragonflight was an experiment that originally began with Deathwing, but no specimen were produced until his son Neltharion managed to achieve success with his own magical experiments in the Black Rock Mountain. He captured the whelps from the other 4 Dragonflights and magically combined them into one in order to essentially create super dragons that had all the abilities. This, up to this point, was a very short-lived success, and ultimately, I'd say it was even a failure as nothing big had actually been achieved. However, now with this new lore, this old lore is starting to make a lot more sense, and it apparently has a bit more depth. Turns out that Deathwing, while he was just Neltharion the Earthwarder, in order to battle the Primalists on the Dragon Isles and to protect the Isles, managed to actually achieve success back on them by doing a similar process. Then the suddenly happened, he went crazy, the aspects abandoned the island, and it was just hidden from everyone. I'm guessing he missed this, so he wanted to do more, and then thousands of years later, his son did the same thing as well. He probably heard about this Dragon Isles experiment. Well, let's actually examine what we know about this experiment that was a great success, because soon we will be playing the Dracthyr in the new expansion. So apparently, Neltharion the Earthwarder wanted to create the perfect soldiers, so to do that, he wanted to combine the powers of all the Dragonflights with distinctive qualities of the mortals. Before he fell to old god corruption, Neltharion built them in response to the growing tension between the Primalists, the followers of Galakrond, and the actual Dragonflights. He wanted to put together the magnificence, the wisdom, the sheer power of the majestic dragons, together with the scrappiness, ambitiousness, flexibility, and mobility of the mortal races, and he was actually successful. He managed to form the Dracthyr. Little is known what he did with them, but we do know a decent amount about the Dracthyr at this point. So, unlike other races that, picked their own class, these guys were soldiers built with a purpose, similar to the Demon Hunters, just being a singular race. So, the Dracthyr don't really know anything other than just being evokers. Now, who are these evokers? What even is this class? Evokers are a ranged male bearing class, and they only have 2 specializations, which is devastation and preservation. As they combine all the power from the 5 dragon aspects, they have really unique abilities as well as ways of casting these spells. Devastation is a DPS specialization that uses fast, explosive power of the red Dragonflight and the more focused and overwhelming magic of the blue Dragonflight. Now, in regards to preservation, this is combining the green and the bronze. So using the healing powers of the green Dragonflight in nurturing spells, while using the powers of the bronze in order to manipulate time and make wound healing faster. Just think about it, this is something between a druid and a chronomancer, and as we speculated, it turns out they are adding chronomancers. In a way. They didn't say what the power is by the Black Dragonflight, but my guess is that the Black Dragonflight is their like base state, the resilience and the way they're just wired, so like the platform they are built on. Now, that is from the dragon side. However, Blizzard didn't reveal what type of a race they use to combine the mortal aspect, which is like half of their power. Based on their looks, they have a very humanoid and sort of an elven look. Maybe they combine some of the earthen, as there is obvious Titanforge influence, as they literally built like half of the Dragon Isles and obviously work together, but it is clear that they lean more towards mortals than they do dragons. In fact, the Dracthyr really look like dragon-empowered mortals, as they have two forms, the humanoid and the draconid one, but really both of them are very human-like, with one going more towards the side of lizard people. Interestingly enough, and completely expected, they have their own completely unique flying form, which makes sense, as it would be kind of weird having dragons just riding other dragons. So this was thousands of years ago, obviously before the Sundering. Apparently, Neltharion built a Dracthyr long ago before he fell to corruption, as there was a lot of tension between the Primalists and the Dragonflights, and he did this by combining all of the power of his brothers and sisters. Maybe this is the first time he did this because he, with the Demon Soul, was really keen on wanting to take the power from the rest of the Dragonflight, so maybe this was his first experience. However, what we do know is that in their starting location there was a terrible battle, and because of this they retreated to dormancy, and with the magic drained from the Dragon Isles, they were even further set to slumber, only to return now as we mortals venture into their continent. Honestly, there seems to be an obvious parallel here with the Demon Hunters and the Dracthyr. Unique class with a unique look, soldiers with a purpose that lay dormant, albeit the Demon Hunters were only imprisoned for a few years, not 10,000s, and the Dracthyr weren't even imprisoned. However, what we do know is that this class starts at level 58 in their own starting zone, which seems to be the sole purpose of the zone called Forbidden Reach. What is interesting, however, is that they will be a neutral class, just like the Pandaren, and with the ability to pick a faction, but the way this will work will be completely different than what we had in Mists of Pandaria. With the Pandaren, you went through the entire quest line, saw both sides, and then had to go through a philosophical decision in order to pick the side that kinda aligns with you better. However, in the case of the Dracthyr, you will be able to choose faction alignment at the character creation screen, and this will be more of a practical decision and less of a headbreaker, because at the moment, the Horde and the Alliance seem to really be united with this cross-faction thing, and there isn't a crazy faction war going on. Plus, we, the Horde and the Alliance, are coming to the Dragon Isles more as an expedition to help, learn, and restore, instead of just sending the military to claim the land and collect resources. So this different approach will definitely play a big role in picking your faction as the Dracthyr. However, why the Dracthyr decided to join our factions is a bit of a mystery. As I said, it isn't clear whether they were created with good or bad intentions, but these soldiers of Deathwing will now become a part of the Horde and the Alliance. My best guess right now is, with Neltharion gone, they're now bound to the other dragon aspects as they have their power, and as the aspects kind of invited us to join them on their return home, I'm guessing they want to use the old weapons of Neltharion by adding them to our army. Another possibility is that the mortal races used in their creation might be tied to our history of our playable races, so that might play a role in this decision as well. Nonetheless, the Dracthyr evoker concept really seems exciting and something with a lot of new lore potential. Thank you for watching. Check out who will be the big bad of Dragonflight by clicking on the screen, and check out Don's Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.